Good morning, welcome back to my channel, High Tunnel and Field Tomato Production. Today is July the 12th, and we're in tunnel number 3. I just want to give you a little update. Now, I think I told you I planted this tunnel on May the 4th, and 72 days is going to be July the 17th. And that's about what these are. These tomatoes, which is Florida 7514, is about 75 day tomato. That is considered from transplant. Now when you transplant, the bigger the transplant, you're going to gain a little bit of time on ripening date. So the package will say 75 days from transplant. And so I'm going to show you in just a minute that we're ripening. I ate my first tomato yesterday. They're ripening up. I'm not ready to pick because some of them are in what they call the breaker stage, where they're just breaking colors. But I want to bring you up on something I think is really important and pretty cool and neat. Is on, I believe it was June the 29th, I'd noticed some things about my leaves and just the top part of them. Nothing really major, but just some coloration stuff I've been dealing with. And so we took a leaf sample. I went to my county agent, which I've gotten to know pretty well, and this is his job. So we took leaf samples, and then we sent them to 2 different labs. One lab is in Memphis, Tennessee, called Waypoint Analytical, and then we also sent it to the University of Arkansas up there. Now, I'll have to admit, I was very disappointed in the University of Arkansas. It just took them forever. Waypoint Analytical, within 2 days, gave me a report back July the 1st. And here's what I really like about it. Their report has a chart. Now what they're doing is they're telling you the percentage of the different nutrients in that leaves. And of course you always start with nitrogen and phosphorus, potassium, magnesium. But what they did is they had a chart to go along with this. And this chart says that it goes anywhere from deficient, low, sufficient, high, and then very high. Now all of my ingredients, all of my nutrients except one were sufficient. I was low in potassium. And my agent said these guys are potassium hogs. They really are. They use a lot of potassium. And so I really can't tell you too much about my leaf color, but here's something I think I talked to you about in my last video. There's more to understanding a tomato in the leaf than just the nutrients you put into it. pH has a lot to do with it. And this soil here is high in phosphorus. Now, I've explained to you last video a little bit too that if you're too high in something, it can bind up other ingredients. I do not understand that, so I kind of suspect that might be what's going on here. And I've been using these 2 tunnels here, tunnel 3 and 4, for a number of years. So here's my plan for next year. I'm going to lay these 2 tunnels out. I'm going to come in here with some annual ryegrass. Both of them are high in phosphorus. They're almost identical. I'm going to come in here with annual ryegrass, and you plant it and you let it grow up and get as tall as you think it's going to do. And then you mow it, and then you rake up all that leaf matter. Now what you're doing, they call that mining. The grass will pull the phosphorus out of the soil, and then you're going to take those leaves and get them out of the tunnel, and you're going to burn them, so that you can pull some of the phosphorus out of here. I don't want any more phosphorus in this soil. Now I'm going to try to do that 2 times. I'll start this fall. As soon as we get through harvest, I'll plant some. I set sprinklers up in here, and we'll do that. And then I may want to come in here with a cover crop of some turnip greens or something like that. And then come springtime, I'll do it again. So 2022, I'm not going to plant anything in here. I'm going to do several cover crops. I may want to put some buckwheat in here next spring. Since I can keep it wet, then I've got the ability to make it work. The only thing I'll need to do is maybe add a little nitrogen. So what I'm going to do next year is tomatoes I grow are going to be field tomatoes. And I'm going to show you in just a few minutes. I did a little experiment this year. with my field tomatoes. I've got 75 plants in what I call tunnel number 1. Now tunnel number 1 doesn't have any plastic on it, it's just a shade cloth. And I have not taken care of them. I've not really kept notes on them like I do here. Every time I fertilize, every time I spray, I take notes and I write them down in the book so I've got a cross-reference. And I think that's really important. You need to know, especially fungicides and insecticides, you need to know what you sprayed. Your memory's not going to hold up, so you need to do that. I have not done that with tunnel number 1, and I'm telling you, they look good. I mean, all things considered, the leaves look absolutely great. Now here's something I've noticed over the years. The best looking crop I ever grew in this tunnel was my first crop. This was new soil. And so I was able to add the correct amount of nutrients and everything, and they just looked great. I had no issues whatsoever. I still did my fungicides every 10 days, and I would do some bifenthrin insecticide about every 20 days, just a little bit. You'd be surprised that in a tunnel this size, this is a 30 by 84, it takes 1/2 teaspoon bifenthrin per tunnel to kill bugs. It does a wonderful job on whiteflies, aphids. It'll take care of spider mites. And so you organic people need to settle down a little bit. I'm all for organic remedies. One fella sent me an email or a comment on something I'd been talking to some folks about spider mites, and he thought, oh, you've got to use some kind of beneficial bugs to eat up the spider mites. Well, that's fine and dandy, but those beneficial bugs to populate may take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Meanwhile, I can put bifenthrin on there, and in 24 hours I've got results. And if you've got a valuable crop, you can't mess around with the bugs. You got to get rid of them. How do you think we have cotton nowadays? Now, I hate it that they overused DDT, was the boll weevil insecticide they used back, I know, in the 60s when I was a kid. And yeah, they overused it. They did, and I hate that. Now it's been banned, but I'll tell you, we got rid of the boll weevils. And yes, we did some damage on the environment a little bit because of our ignorance, but if used correctly, a little insecticide ain't going to hurt you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the camera off. I'm going to go outside, and I'm going to show you the outside of the tunnel because you can get a better light and better spectrum, and I'm just going to walk down the road. Then I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to take you down to tunnel number 1 and show you, I call them field tomatoes because they're unprotected, and I'll show them to you. Now, one thing you have to realize about the tunnels, you can almost always grow a better looking crop in a tunnel because of the protected environment. When you're outside in the field, you're dealing with the rain like we had here yesterday, and I'll need the fungicide tonight on the outside tomatoes because of the rain and moistures, and I'll probably use a fungicide called Quadris, a really good fungicide for just general purpose because anything I had on there got washed off. But you'll almost always get a bigger, prettier tomato plant in here. So tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it off, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, here we are, I'm back with you, and we're on the south side of my tunnel, and you can see the tomatoes there, and you might be able to see, let me go over this way, there we go. There you can see some of the ripening tomatoes. All right, and I'm just going to walk down for just a few minutes. I'm sorry about the post and the strings, but we're on the outside of the tunnel. There's some more ripening up. Nice clusters. Some of there, that one, the turn the color on the left there, that's going to be about a 1 pound tomatoes. I've got a lot of 1 pounders this year. Okay, let's just keep on going. That there on the bottom right is going to be a nice 1 pounder. You can kind of see through there. You got lots of green tomatoes. Some of them are still breaking color. Walk down a little bit further, show you one of my favorite. Right here, a nice cluster, isn't there? I don't know, there's 4 pounds or more right there on that one cluster. Right there, you can see lots of greens. We're going to have a good picking at the end of the week. Another big bunch of tomatoes right there. Those right there are still going to grow some. And right there's some more. So, and plus we're still got some flowering. These plants are 5.5 foot. Maybe a little bit more on some of them like that right there, getting close to 6. But okay, now what I want to do, and also right, you won't be able to see it probably, but I've got a couple of little baby tomatoes in there someplace still going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera off and take you down to my field tomatoes. Okay, now we're down in tunnel number 1. This is my original tunnel. And I've got about 25 plants in 3 different rows. And these plants are not as tall as tunnel, of course. They were planted later and not taken well care of, but the leaf color on them is absolutely perfect. And of course, you're going to expect the tomatoes to be a little bit smaller. And you can see tomatoes right there. A lot of these, you know, some of them are smaller than baseballs. That'd probably be the average big size. I've even got a couple of them that are trying to turn color a little bit. But let me shift my camera over here. There's one amongst all of that that's pretty good size. The sunlight will give you a little bit better picture right here. So they're loading up. They're doing well. They're still setting fruit, even though we've had some 92, 94 degree temperature. But we've really been blessed this year. And this whole week, I think a couple days this week, we're going to be close to 92. And then after that, for about 5 or 6 days, we're going to be low. We'll be in the 89 or so range. And for July in Arkansas, that is almost unheard of. Yes, it's going to be humid, but we can handle that. And since, like I say, these got sprayed last night with a little shower, I'm going to come in here and put some fungicide on them. And not really sure how all this is going to come out in the video. Let me show you. There's a ripe one right there. You see that little bit of red? Yeah. And there's one breaking color. So they're trying to do something. No, I'm not going to get as big a production out of these. If I had taken care of them, they'd been a lot better, but they're not through. They're still setting some fruit, and I'm going to put some fertilizer on them today. And there's one down, excuse me, there's one turning color, and got a couple down there. So in general, these plants look really good. So hope that this video series has been a help to you. If you got some questions, you can leave them down below in the comment. Appreciate it if you would subscribe and give some comments, and we'll see what goes on from there, okay? Appreciate it. See you next time. Bye.